Hi, guys. So, my daughter, who usually comes live on these things with me, she is in a fantastic place. She went to Cabo, and she has been on a trip, and I'm so excited for her. And so tonight it looks like I'm going to be going live by myself. So if you guys don't know what I do and you've been new to this, basically what I do is I'm encouraging people to read the Bible. Okay. And the way to encourage people to read the Bible is to take a look at the devotional that I wrote. I wrote a devotional called Rinse, Reflect, Repeat. If you guys have seen that. And basically what I do is I walk through the devotional every single day on my podcast. So if you have not yet started listening to that podcast, I basically read some of the podcast dynamics and kind of the gist of the podcast, but I also add in a few fun little things as well to the podcast. And so that is what I do. I'm just encouraging people to read the Bible and do it through my podcast, and then I air it as well on YouTube every single day. And it's been really fun. And so then what I do is, in this devotional, it's basically a guide to reading the Bible through in a year. And I do it my own fun way, which is doing it alphabetically. So we started with Acts, which was a really cool book to start. But then we're going through all of the books. And then at the end of every single book, I go live and I just recap it really quickly. And it's just been a really fun way to engage people and to just talk about some of the fun takeaways that people had. And we just finished II Corinthians. So I can't believe that we are all through A, B, and C books. And so it's just really fun to join in on it. So I wanted to just share with you one part of II Corinthians really quickly. And it was the very last devotional that I wrote for today. It was covering II Corinthians 10 through 13, and I called it Heaven. And I talked about my wedding day. And some of you guys who are watching this, you might actually remember that day, because even though it was like years and years ago, I still get comments every once in a while about my wedding day. And so I talked about that day and talked about the theme that we had on that day and how it relates to what Paul was talking about, because my heaven theme for my wedding, it was more or less just this huge production, I guess is what you would call it. We had the flowers that are mentioned in the Bible. I used some of the colors that were in the Bible. And Paul actually had gotten a glimpse of heaven, and he shared that, but because he was caught up in paradise, they say, or he wrote, and he couldn't even describe heaven. And our wedding day, basically, I wanted to give people a glimpse of what that might look like. And so I wrote about it in today's devotion and talked about how I decorated. We had like this big veil on the back of the wall, and just I had youth dancers come in and dance to a heaven song. And it was a really long wedding, I'm not gonna lie. But I wanted to just kind of share that, because we as individuals, even if we can capture just a short, small glimpse of what heaven might look like, it's nowhere near what heaven will be like when we get there. And so my point in all of that, saying that, is that Paul, he was such a dynamic man, and really gave us a lot of insight into what it's like to live by faith and to live our walk and to live our lives as we should as Christ followers. And through his book Second Corinthians, he gave us some really cool nuggets about those aspects, living a life of love, constantly living a life of ministry, and then ending with just this caught away in paradise, where he actually was writing what he saw. And so I just wanted to share that with you, because as I was writing today's devotion, it just brought back some fun memories of that special day. And it brought back just the idea of, we can't even imagine what that will look like. And Paul's whole ministry was really to spread the gospel. And it's so cool to end the Second Corinthians with just understanding that we have a life to live as well, and to share the gospel, and help people to see heaven as we should. And so, and hopefully, the way that we live will make other people want to live a life and go to heaven as well. And it was really cool, because I was actually talking to somebody, and he has been reading the devotional, and every day he's been grasping some of the things that are in it, and really embracing the challenges, and he's so hungry and so excited. And it's just neat to be able to see how other people are reading this book, and how it's changing lives, and how it's affecting people on a spiritual level. And so I'd love to hear your stories. We do have a Facebook group. The Facebook group, I had some friends tell me, like, Anita, you got to start a Facebook group. And so it's called Rinse, Reflect, Repeat Devotional. And every once in a while, somebody will make a comment about something that they took away from with the devotional. I love reading them. So if you have any kind of nuggets, or God just, really struck something out at you, I would love to read them, because it really does encourage people to not only just read the Bible, but to grab it and to make it action driven. Like, you can literally make it action driven. And that was my whole intent of writing this book. I also had another question where somebody said, what was kind of the purpose of making it alphabetically, and how is that effective, basically? And it just honestly was just kind of a God thing, because I think in unique ways like that sometimes. And so I thought, you know what, it'll be different. It's not something, it's not usual to write something like this. I mean, usually you start in Genesis or Matthew, but in my devotional, we start in the book of Acts, and we're walking through it. And it's really unique how that, even though we're jumping around from the New Testament to the Old Testament and back and forth, and doing it, that, like, tomorrow we start reading Daniel, and Daniel is only 4 days. And so if you are wanting to jump right in with us, then go ahead tomorrow, start reading Daniel, and go to my podcast. It's Rinse, Reflect, Repeat podcast. And just jump right in. But it's interesting how that some of the same concepts that we nurture and love and read the word about are the same central theme throughout the whole entire Bible. It's all linked together. You don't have to necessarily start at one book and do it the traditional way. You still can glean a lot from the word when you jump around. And it's just a matter of personal preference, or if you want to just jump right in. But tomorrow we start with Daniel and finishing out Second Corinthians, and just loving how Paul writes in the Bible, and loving how Paul writes in Second Corinthians, and just encouraging people to get out there and make a difference in the way that we live, and don't stop doing it. And so anyway, I just wanted to share really quickly. So again, tomorrow we're starting on Daniel, and we're going to read Daniel 1-3, and it only takes 4 days to read this book. So I want to have you jump in And tomorrow's devotion, it's called Prayer Over Panic. And it's something that literally we can do. I mean, Paul talks about faith, and here we are going into the Old Testament and talking about faith as well. And so enjoy your evening. I'm in a different setting. I'm in Texas right now, babysitting my grandbabies, while Haley and Dre are in Cabo. And so they want a little vacation, and I am here. And so I'm in a different setting right now. And you're probably hearing little kiddos in the background playing. And so I'm going to get off of here, and I will see you in 4 days when we're finished with the book of Daniel. I think that is Saturday night. So enjoy the rest of your week, and I want to definitely hear your takeaways from the book. So be sure and come and join our Facebook group. It's Rinse, Reflect, Repeat devotional again, and come on in and let us know how you're enjoying the book. So have a wonderful night, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on the podcast, or Saturday night on a live. Have a wonderful night.